good idea. Take care of the girl so that the girl takes care of you later. Kris, it is so great to see you.
Hey, everybody.
And thank you for being here. We've got some big Kris Allen's fans in the house right here, second row. You've traveled.
Hi, Linda.
There you go. First question, restraining order involved at all? No, but, you know, fans like Linda, you know, that would follow an artist, you know, there's a human connection there that one can't deny. And Kris, I think you seem to be that kind of a person. And I probably am going to be joining Linda and following you all around the country as well. Can you believe it's been 9 years?
9 years.
9 years since
Someone
that.
said 10 the other day, and I was like, no.
Yeah, right.
It's been 9. Yeah.
Let's wait it out as I lose my notes here. What is you know, in that time, what's been the high? If you had an ultimate high and maybe a low, some kind of a challenge that you've had.
There are many like just normal life highs, like, you know, having kids. Like, you saw my kids; they're incredible and they're my life. Like, those are my highs. But as far as career,
I'm sorry. Let me just interrupt.
Sorry.
He's put both of them to sleep. Let me tell you how Dad's doing over here. That's why Katie and the kids are here. Dad's put them to sleep.
Just by singing to them, because I'm so boring. So, yeah. I would say, as career-wise, my career is interesting. So you come out and you're like, you get blasted out of this rocket into space, and all these amazing things happen at once. And so it was hard to like internalize those things, like opening up for Maroon 5 and getting to meet Stevie Wonder and hanging out with Smokey Robinson. Like, all those are highs for me, but because of the time that it was in, I wouldn't say that they are the ones that I go to when I answer this question. I would say that those things are probably some of the smaller things. Like, I released an acoustic record last year of just some acoustic renditions of some songs that I had written, and it went to like #1 on the singer-songwriter charts. And I was like, and I produced it myself and that whole thing, and I was like, that was pretty cool. You know, for some reason, I don't know why that sticks in my head.
Well, and I would say that certainly acclaim from your peers is the highest compliment anybody in their own profession, I think, can get.
Yeah, I think getting first and foremost, like, the fans mean more than anything to me, but having that validation from people that are doing the same thing, yes, that means some.
And you and Katie have been together for how long?
Together or married?
Together. Just
a long time.
It's been. It was. I remember Katie way back in the day. Obviously.
How old am I? It's been almost half my life.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah. There's I know one other couple that met at middle school, and they're still together. And they're now retired. It's just crazy to hear those kind of stories that people could meet this young, especially today. What do you think? Why do you think that is with you two? You're in a very unique relationship.
Yeah, it is. I have no idea. I think it takes a lot of understanding. I think it takes a lot of respect. She has always been a huge fan of me as a person, and I've always been a huge fan of her as a person. We've always taken life as this, like, we are not the same people that we were when we were 16, 17 years old. And I think we've changed, but we've changed together. And that has been a huge thing for us.
And obviously, when you become a parent, you think you knew love before, right?
Yes.
It just completely changes the whole game.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk about your songwriting and how becoming a parent completely changed that. How would you explain that to us?
So my first reactions of what the what most songs are about, like this unearthly love that you experience when you're with someone else. And then at the beginning, I haven't had that in a very long time. Now I'm madly in love with my wife, but it's just different, you know. I get to experience that though with my kids, and since my kids were born, or they do things for the first time, or I hadn't seen my kids in a month since yesterday, and my little girl comes up to me and she's just, Daddy did, and I'm just losing it. I'm like, I'm crying at every movie now. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a different thing, but it's still, I think it's in the same realm of what love is supposed to feel like, and yeah, I love being a dad.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some music. We're going to hear Kris Allen perform here. Your first song, No Boundaries, was huge right out of American Idol. I had all the respect in the world for your cover of Kanye's Heartless, which I thought was fantastic. Live Like We Are Dying, right after that was released. That went on to sell 1.7 million copies. You're interesting in the sense that you started as a string player. You learned viola, you went to piano, and ended up at guitar. How do you know how to read music? You can do all that. How do you find that helps you in your musical world?
I was just so immersed in. My parents are amazing, so they found out pretty early on that I had some sort of inclination for music and wanted to be a part of it. And so they put me into school. It was a public school, but it had a music program in it. So everyone that was there had to play an instrument, and I was in the orchestra and I played viola and learned how to read music and all that type of stuff. But it was always this thing that felt like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. This is not what I want to be playing. And so when I turned 13, I was like, I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to play like real music.
Yeah, that's right. And something about girls liking musicians too. Come on. All musicians talk about that.
That's true. I mean, yeah, probably so. But I didn't.
This is pre-Katie.
I didn't sing for anybody until I was like 16, 17, though.
And why do you think that was?
I was super shy.
Got it.
Yeah, I was in my room by myself, like secluding off everybody, playing guitar, playing music, learning songs, sometimes writing songs, and just I feel like that's every good musician's experience with it, is when you're a kid and you feel like an outcast. And I wasn't an outcast, but I mean, we all feel like that. That was my coping mechanism, and I loved music.
Did writing come easy to you?
No.
Because it seems to me, just, playing all these records, I wonder how this stuff just appears out of thin air for musicians. Plus, a lot of songwriters will talk about they can hear it before they even go into the studios.
That does happen sometimes. I would say that for me, the most part, and the thing that I've had to learn, is that inspiration doesn't just come to you most of the time. You have to be sitting there working on something, and then it comes to you. You have to be in the process. Now, every once in a while, there are songs, like the last single that I just put out. The whole chorus came to me while I was in my car. I sang it immediately, and it was done. And I was like, well, thank you.
And
that doesn't always happen, though.
Well, and that is almost a surreal experience.
It's really weird. It's very spiritual. It feels like there's like angels are singing into your brain, and you're just like, I'm so glad I'm a part of this right now, because this is really special. And I'm just glad I was there in that moment in time.
And what do you do when you get stuck writing? We hear these stories about writer's block and how it can just be maddening.
It's really frustrating when it happens. I feel like the way for me, and I have to talk about it, so I usually talk to friends or I'm like, what? I have nothing to say anymore. My life is boring. And so you have to search, and you find different ways. For me, I've found different techniques to write. It used to be just like I picked up my guitar and I would write. Nowadays, like my new technique that I've done is I'll just have my voice memo on, and I'll record random things that are happening. Like the other day, my daughter was jumping on a trampoline, and I was banging on the pad of the trampoline, and I ended up using this for a demo that I make, and maybe it'll be a song that's released. And so there's this like drum beat that's happening, and then you can hear her go, It's really, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but it's only like 3 seconds of the voice memo. Which
Will
is like
she get a
2 minutes
percentage
long.
of the song? It'll be for college, right? Fund to college. You have written some really neat things. I don't know whether you're familiar with Kris's library, which I think you should get, but he has
Linda?
some really cool Christmas music.
Oh, thank you
Really
so
cool.
much.
No,
Yes.
I'm serious. In
Thank
fact,
you.
I just discovered it very recently, and I went into our program.
It's August.
John, I said, we're the Christmas station, for heaven's sakes. We need to be looking at some of this Kris Allen stuff.
That was the most fun record I've made so far.
I'll bet.
Easily.
I mean, the opening one is, Mommy, is there more than one Santa Claus? I mean, how many times have you as a parent been, kind of asked that? But some other really cool pop flavored, Christmas-themed song,
Yeah.
which...
I got together with a good friend of mine from Nashville, KS Rhodes, and we spent a week writing songs and putting together the idea for this record. And when I think of that time of the year, it is this very warm thing where I don't want to be hit over the face with decorations and all that stuff. I just want to feel warm. And so we got together. We recorded the whole thing live. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Please do go out and look it up if you're looking for some great Christmas music to complement all the classics. And it really they do go hand in hand.
Thank you so much.
Christmas, obviously a very spiritual time for many. You are a very spiritual person. You have literally found yourself traveling the world doing not only missionary work but charitable work. Haiti after the earthquake. I do remember you went with cameras from American Idol, came back, you performed Let It Be. Your work continues as you go around. I just wonder, and I mean the list, Kris, is long. I could read it all. It'd take me 10 minutes to everything that he's donated his time and song stylings to. How do you pick those kind of charities and missionary work?
That's a great question. I feel like for me, early on there was a lot of things that happened, and you kind of say yes to everything. At least that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to say yes to everything. But a really smart person told me early on, pick your things, because you can't spread yourself too thin, and you don't want to spread. I don't want to spread my influence on what I do and the people that are listening to me. I don't want them to be like, Kris is all over the place. So I've tried to keep focused on a couple things that I've done, and they've changed throughout the years. So it probably seems like I've done many things, but it always feels during the time and during those couple years or 3 years or however long, it feels very focused. So I just find things that mean a lot to me, like music education. I've done a lot with Global Genes. There's a lot of other things too.
Yeah. Well, it does amaze me when I see the list and how much you travel. And you mentioned that you are sometimes away from your family for up to a month at a time, which I can't imagine what that would be like. I've been blessed to work in this career and working a morning show for many years, being at home for my kids coming back every day from school and going to every parent-teacher conference. That's a different thing and a challenge for you as a musician.
So this tour that I'm on right now, the Idol tour, I think it was asking me to be gone for 13 weeks from my house. This is, I think, the longest time that I've been out on the road consecutively. This was really hard to say yes to.
Yeah.
Because
of the family.
Not because of the show.
Right.
But because of family, and I actually don't think I said yes at first, and but ended up making
Which
it happen.
Which is a good strategy. Get a couple more bucks.
No, I don't even think that happened. But I'm very used now that I live in Nashville. I spend most of my time making music at home, and so I go pick up my kids. My kids they go to school like 3 blocks away, so I go and walk, pick up my kids every day. And so my life is that, and usually when I'm gone, it's only a couple weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. So this was interesting.
It's Kris
But
Allen.
it's working.
It's Kris Allen inside our AT&T Sound studio. Let's talk about the American Idol show. You've got 3 nights here in Southern California. These are all the pretty much. It was the top 10, top 8,
top 7
from this past season. As you look at Idol, what do you see changing? Is it more difficult for these Idol stars compared to earlier Idol? Listen, the blessing is here you're making a living as a musician, which is a win-win, but it's a tough world out there.
It is. I think the biggest thing that I think I learned was that the show doesn't promise you anything. All it is an opportunity. Now, I did gain a lot from being on the show, but I have tried to take that opportunity and put my stamp on what I want to do. But it's tough. Like this is a tough business. It's tough to come into like the way that they're coming into it. But I think if you want this and if you want to make music and you are supposed to make music and you want to put in the time and effort and all those things, then it will happen for you. It just may not happen to what everyone else thinks it's supposed to go. It may not be this, you're selling millions and millions of records all the time, because those happen seldomly. But there are many, many people in this echelon that make a living, and I feel very lucky to be in that.
Well, and you're an incredibly talented singer, and all you have to do is just go down the YouTube wormhole and just search Kris Allen. You'll see incredible performances, all kinds of different songs and styles that you do so well. And so your involvement here with this Idol tour, which, by the way, let me just say, all top 7 of these American Idol finalists, incredible voices, all unique talents, and the diversity and the range of songs that you hear during the American Idol Live 2018 tour is really, really great.
Yeah, the show's great.
And I read a set list, and I mean, Kris Allen's coming out and doing In Excess. He's doing his own music, so it's original. It's some of the popular tunes that did well on Idol. It's everything.
I think it's really cool. I think that's the great thing about the show is that you're not going to come here and get bored. It is everything. Everybody has their own genre, so you can find parts of the show that you really love. But I also think that more than anything, the contestants from this year, and I feel like this always happens from the show, you create this family atmosphere because you are stuck together for 6 months or however long it is, and you can see that during the show, and they love each other so much, and I'm just happy that I get to be a part. I feel like a guinea pig in this whole thing because they've never done this before where they've had somebody out.
You're the seasoned veteran. They got to be looking at you asking you for advice.
But I think, you know what? I think early on we were feeling each other out, but I do think that's happening, and I love that because I almost wish someone was out with us telling us like, hey, you're doing this, or what questions do you have? I'm more than happy to help you, or even if I don't have the answer, I may know someone that does, and I can point you in that direction, and because I love that. Maybe it's because I'm a dad now, but I enjoy helping young artists and helping them figure out what they want to do.
Well, you know what you're finding out is it's fun growing up. I mean, it really is.
It is. Yeah. Well, most of the time.
Exactly. It's just, that every first of the month when the bills are due. That's nothing.
Or like your shoulder hurts and you don't know why.
Oh my gosh.
Like, why?
Yeah. Oh, I've been wearing a guitar for the last 18 hours, something like that. George Carlin once said that people are always on their phones, blaring music, watching something. We're always turned on. Are we that afraid of our own thoughts? Which I think was very... Yes, he goes right away. But and you're about to perform your new single, When All the Stars Have Died, which is really an incredible song, and I can't wait for you to hear it if you've not heard it before. That came to you when you were disconnected, in a way. You've described it as that. Can you, share that moment with us?
Yeah, I was actually driving in Nashville. There's not a lot of traffic in Nashville, but I was leaving a songwriting session with another peer, and he's incredible, but I was kind of frustrated that we didn't write a great song that day, and which happens most of the time, by the way. But for some reason, I was frustrated that didn't work out. And I'm sitting in my car, and for some reason, I just start singing. I don't do this. There's no music on, nothing. I just start singing, and the whole chorus of this next song comes out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember like getting home and immediately figuring out the chords. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't talk to my wife. I just went up into my music room, grabbed my guitar, and I was like, I have to figure out these chords. And I remember just being like, man, and there's kind of a precursor to this song too as well. I don't know if I've told this story, but the day before that, my little girl was running in our house and she falls, and she barely falls. But kids are dramatic, and she gets up and she does that silent cry thing, that like, and you're just waiting for this like scream, this awful thing. And I pick her up and I'm still waiting, and it never comes. She goes lifeless, and her eyes are open, but she's not there. She's gone, and I'm holding her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is very dramatic for me to feel this way, but like I am holding my little girl, and she's going to like leave the earth right now. So this probably lasts for 10 minutes, 15 seconds. And I remember I'd never felt that way before. It was just too much emotion, and I couldn't talk to anybody the rest of that night. I couldn't talk to my wife. We barely could talk to each other because she was kind of there. It just messed with me. It really, really messed with me. And I think that's where, like, subconsciously that song comes from. Because the song does deal with... this song does deal with death, which is like a real thing that we all have to deal with. And yeah.
Well, I just want you to know that as a parent of 4, and I'm blessed that they're all doing well and healthy. But I do remember when I had small kids, my dad, and he was so funny because I laughed at it, but I realized he's right. He said, you know what your job as a parent is? And I said, what? And he said, to make sure your kids don't kill themselves. Right? I mean, if you're not keeping an eye on them, right? So, you have a moment like that happen, and then all of a sudden, the most terrible thoughts flash into your head. Is she leaving? Right? It is. It is. And it never will leave you.
And I hope not. Like, I love my kids so much that, like, they mean the world to me. So if anything ever happens to them, or if anybody messes with them,
that's right.
It's
hey,
game over.
I just want to let you know, when all the stars have died, there's nobody here. Okay, we are just all gone.
I know that was
right.
That was kind of the point. That's like trillions of years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like trillions.
So we've got time.
So my love lasts that long.
Yeah, that's right, and it will. And listen, Kris, I have to tell you how impressed I am with you. Not only as a musician, but as a human, as a kind man, as a good father. And he understands that in his family he's below the dog now. Now that his wife's got 2 kids, and we bonded over that because I'm right there, and it's I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Family is absolutely everything.
Everything.
You know what I mean? Would you like to hear Kris sing? Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here at our AT&T Sound Studios. How about a nice round of applause for Kris Allen?
They always ask me how many songs I want to do at these things, and I'm like, how many songs do you want me to do at these things? Because I'll sing forever. Hey, chick. All right. Here we go. This is a song called Faster Shoes. Always looking for a reason to leave. Always finding something wrong with the season. Your heart has just been hiding from the truth. Like a circle always ready to spin. You got that green light gold all over your skin. But the world is never going to cut you loose. No matter where you go, what you do, it's gonna be there waiting. If you keep running away, you keep running away. If you keep running away, you're gonna need some faster shoes. If you keep running away, you keep running away. If you keep running away, you're gonna need some faster shoes. 'Cause it's always gonna catch up to you. Turn the pages, but the words stay the same. Rearranging all your furniture to cover the stain. Well, that's not how you make it go away. Yeah, the problem will never change. If you keep running away, you keep running away. If you keep running away, you're gonna need some faster shoes. If you keep running away, you keep running away. If you keep running away, you're gonna need some faster shoes. 'Cause it's always gonna catch up to you. You can't keep spending your money on a one-way trip, but you're never gonna be able to outrun this. Oh, if you keep running away, you keep running away. If you keep running away, you're gonna need some faster shoes. But if you keep running away, you keep running away. But if you keep on running away, you're gonna need some faster shoes. 'Cause it's always gonna catch up to you. You're gonna need some faster shoes.